Right, and this time I've got something a bit different for you. So what I wanted to do was do a keep, sell, loan, and contract exit for Liverpool Football Club. And what I've got is I've got a tier list of the 2022-2023 Liverpool squad, and we're gonna rate them pretty much. So the categories we've got keep starter. These are going to be people who are vital to keep, who are pretty much going to be involved in the first team every single week. You've got keep for the bench. These are players who they're not essential, but you want to keep them around. Then you've got loan. These are the players you want to loan out. We've got sell, the players that I think we should sell, and contract exit, which is pretty much speaks for itself, doesn't it? So the first player is Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I mean it's obvious. Like I saw people at points last season saying we should sell Trent, and I just think that was the most ridiculous shouts I've ever seen. This guy is potentially one of the best fullbacks in the world. I still believe. Like although his season wasn't the greatest, obviously, I think what he can offer for us in an attacking front and in the team as a creative outlet is sensational. I think we're a better midfield around him and potentially defence as well next season. I think he'll be pretty much back to his best. And he has been back to his best for the past few months now with that kind of role change. So he's absolutely nailed on the starter for me. James Milner, well, we already know that he's gone. I would have personally kept Milner on for another year, I think. I think Klopp wanted to do that, but FFG wouldn't give Milner a new loan deal. So, yeah, that speaks for itself. Andy Robertson, I think he's also keep. I've seen people say that we should get, like, a new left back. Like, I find that ridiculous. I think Robertson actually had a better season this season than last season, which I know is insane to say, but I think he was really poor parts last year, and Simicast really looked, better than him at points. So, yeah. Then we've got Joel Matip. Now, this is going to be controversial. Look, I just think Joel Matip is aged now. He's been an absolute great servant to this club, a free transfer, and he's been great, brought so many good moments. Him and Verge have been, but I just don't think he has a future. And I think we should sell Matip so that we can get another centre back because I think him or Gomez have to go. And the reason I'd say sell Matip is because basically you only allow 17 foreign players in your squad. Liverpool currently have 15, and we're looking to bring in two more midfielders, most likely to be Thuram and Konya. So if we get those two, we can't buy a centre back. So I think, considering he's got a year left, and I think there are a lot of clubs who would want Joel Matip. So he's a sell for me. Fabinho, look, I was been a massive Fabinho fan. I've absolutely loved watching this player, but this season, I know he's had a child. They say, I know he's had his reasons, like, but the excuses you can't excuse him. I know he's looked better near the end of this season, but I think the whole team has. I'm gonna say keep him, but put him on the bench. I think we do need a new defensive midfielder, or at least someone to challenge him. You know what I mean? Um, who the hell is that? Is that Arthur Mello? I don't know. I don't know who that is. I'm gonna be honest. It might be Nat Phillips. I'm gonna say that's Nat Phillips. Nat Phillips, I think, is a sell for me. I think, yeah, he was a legend when he got us into the Champions League spots, and he had his moment, but he's never going to get into that team. I don't think he's good enough. He's fifth choice centre back. For his sake, I think he has to go. Bobby Firmino is also another contract exit. Look, I personally would have extended Bobby as well, and I think he's had a really good season, actually. When he's not been injured, the first half, he very much carried the goals, I think, at points, when Diaz and Thingy were out, when, Nunes wasn't scoring as many. Salah wasn't doing great at that time compared to how he did later on in the season, so yeah. Right, Reece Williams. I think another loan for Reece Williams. I think he still has something. I don't think he's ever going to get in, but you know. All right, I believe this is, how do you say it? Piccolo, the fourth choice goalkeeper. I'd say keep him as well. I think he will potentially could be the second choice keeper. I don't know how good he is. Really, I haven't seen a lot of him, but I think to learn under someone like Adrian and Addison, experienced keepers, he's a good choice. Diego Jota, I think he's a definite keep starter because I think look, I don't get Jota is a frustrating footballer at times. He does things that you just roll your eyes at, but then he always tends to score. He's a very good goal scorer. I think he's probably the best finisher at Liverpool, maybe. I don't think he gets the credit. I think he's had a really under the radar season for his actual goal involvements he's got. So, yeah. Virgil van Dijk, I think, is still a starter. Look, I want to give Virgil van Dijk another season. I don't like the narrative that he's not been the same since the injury because that is not the case. In 2021-22, he was sensational. It's just this season where he's had a weak midfield and kind of poor defence around him as well. He's struggled. I don't think he's been as bad as everyone has said. I think he should be back to his best. Ibrahim Konate is also a starter for me. I think he is kind of the future leader of the defence. I know he's had his mistakes, but he's also had some great games. And I think, he's still young, he's still learning. And, don't forget, this guy was our best player in the Champions League final. So he's quite a player. Fabio Carvalho has to be a loan for me. I don't want us to sell him because I think there is something to it. And he's shown in the few moments we've seen from him that he does have an eye for a goal. He does have something about him. So, yeah, I would loan him out and see how he does. I think he'd do brilliant he could be a Conor Gallagher like loan. I think if he went to a Crystal Palace, maybe even back to Fulham, maybe like Luton or something. Like I think he'd be brilliant for bottom half, mid-table team. He'd start and he'd be like a 30 million, 40 million pound player by the end of the season, I reckon. Harvey Elliott. Look, I think Elliott is frustrating at times, but he has been actually one of the better players this season, which I know doesn't say a lot, but I would definitely keep Harvey Elliott around. I think he's a good goal scorer, and I still don't think we know what his best position is, which is an issue which Klopp and the team need to work out. But yeah, all right, Thiago is going to be my next controversial one. Let me explain, right? I kind of looked at our squad and thought, well, the players I'm going to sell, most of the players leaving are on for free, and if we want to make some money on a player, you would go for decent, 30 million maybe. Thiago. I just think this guy is a luxury that we can't afford to have anymore. I think his injury record is appalling, and I think if we bring in, Kanye and Thuram, along with McAllister, of course, who's already signed, if we have those three, and you have Henderson and Fabinho, and you have, Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, those kind of people, Bajcetic, Tyler Morton, I just feel that he doesn't get in to that team. Mohamed Salah it goes without saying. I think even on his worst season, he had a better season than Ballon d'Or contender Marcus Rashford. So I think that just says everything. Great player, one of the most underrated players in the world. Adrian. Well, we're keeping him, aren't we? Like, I don't get the decision to extend Adrian. I'm going to be honest. I think because you look at, we can only have 17 foreign players. If we would have, you know, got rid of him, we could have bloody got in another foreign player. So I think it's a frustrating decision, but yeah. Right now we've got Luis Diaz, who I think is a starter as well. I think look, since he's come back from injury, he's not been brilliant, but I think people have gone a bit overboard on him being polite. He's still not fully fit. Like, give him time, give him pre-season. I think he'll be back to his best. I think he was prolific in us chasing down, Man City from a 14-point gap down to just one by the end. And, he was a star man. He made Mane play better. And I think in the start of this season, he was carrying us at times as well before he got injured. So, Darwin Nunes. Yeah, keep. I think Darwin's going to have a way better second season. I think you look at Luis Suarez, he wasn't great in his first year. Some of these strikers do need a second year, but I think it is going to be a big season for Darwin Núñez. I think if he doesn't hit the ground running, then it won't. Joe Gomez. Look, I'd actually keep Joe Gomez because I think he's homegrown, and Gomez, he's a decent right back cover. I think when he actually plays right back, I think he's actually better than in centre back, and he's so frustrating, Joe Gomez, because he's very much he can have a great game and then have two bad games and have another great game. He's so inconsistent, and he lacks the concentration. I think at times some of the mistakes he makes are pretty embarrassing, to be honest. But yeah, oh, this guy's not fit. Who the hell is that guy then? Is that Arthur Mello? It might be. That's probably why I don't really recognise him. But this guy's Nat Phillips. If it is, I'm going to say sell as well. Right, Jordan Henderson. I think Henderson should be taking the James Milner role this season. I think he's important to have around. He's a big character in the dressing room, but I don't want to see him starting 20 games this season. Play him in the cups. Bring him on if we need leadership. But I think McAllister, Thuram, Kone, Trent, Fabinho, they're kind of the five midfielders, I think, for me. Tyler Morton is absolutely a keep. I think he's done brilliant out on loan at Blackburn. And I know he was injured, I believe, at the end, but I'm a big fan of Tyler Morton, and I think he showed in moments last season that he is going to be one for the future, and I'm really excited about him. Curtis Jones, I think, is also going to be kept for the bench. I think, Curtis Jones, people flip-flopped on him, because when he first broke into the team, people were really excited about him. And then everyone went kind of harsh on him and said he's just not good enough. And look, I don't think he's ever going to be a nailed-on starter for Liverpool, but he has had a really good form lately. I think he deserves to stay. Right, Naby, Keita and Ox, we can get both of them out the way. I think that they're finally gone, thank God. Then we've got three more players to go. So Kostas Tsimikas. I like Tsimikas. I know he's not been great, but I think he still has a bit to add. And as a backup, he's very solid and he can do a shift. I think he definitely should be kept. Kelleher, for me, I think for his sake, he's going to have to go. Which is going to be unfortunate, but I think he's going to have to go for me. Then finally, Addison Becker. I mean, no shock where I'm going to put him. Oh, where did it go? No shock, I'm going to put him in the starters category. So that was my tier list. Now, a few players that weren't mentioned here. Stefan Bajcetic, for some reason, wasn't on there, which is weird because Tyler Morton was. I don't get that, but for me, Bajcetic is absolutely a keep. Ben Doak wasn't on here. Cade Gordon wasn't on here. That's a bit bizarre. Connor Brady, I think, could actually have a really good season. So I think he should be kept. And then the big one, of course, Cody Gakpo was not on here because this was one from the start last time. But Cody Gakpo was a nailed on start for me. I think after Alisson, Trent, and Salah, I think he is the fourth most nailed on player, Cody Gakpo. I think he's gone so under the radar how good of a signing he's been. I think he's essential for our front three. And I think, for me, the question is who's the third person in that front three? Like before, it would always be, okay, it's Mohamed Salah and two others. But now I really think it's Mohamed Salah, Cody Gakpo, and between Diaz, Jota, and Núñez for that last spot, and we'll see who will be taking. I think they'll all rotate, of course, and I am very excited for next season. I think if we can do these Thuram and Kone deals, then I don't see why we can't be in a title race again. I mean, Arsenal were in a title race this year, and I'd love to see, actually, a three-way title race. I think we've not seen that properly in ages, and I think the best way to actually beat Man City is a three-horse race. So I think when it's 1-on-1, They just run away with it. So I think it depends, but I think there are 4 or 5 teams that could be in the title race. I think Man City could be there. Arsenal, if they're able to get Rice and Caicedo and some of the other players they're looking at, absolutely could be up there again. Liverpool, they sort out their midfield, which seems like they're going to do, I think should be up there. And then Newcastle, don't forget, they've got Champions League money now. If they make a few big signings, they could actually be in the title race. So, yeah. So that is my squad. Anything you disagree with? Do you agree with Matip and Thiago? Look, their contracts are out next season, and I don't see either of them getting a new deal, so that's why they should be sold. So, yeah. Goodbye, you lot.